It's okay.
Okay. Thank you for being here tonight, everyone. I'm going to do something unorthodox that is probably the scariest thing I've done on stage. So I appreciate you being here. I would like to tell a little bit of my story, and then I'm going to play my new song, and I want you to know that if you're listening to me and you're in the room, that means a lot to me. That's actually a gift. No matter who you are, where you come from, and everything that's in between and falls between the cracks. So when I was a teenager, I escaped a horrible home situation. I was basically on house arrest. I didn't know much about anything in the world. My world was very tiny. When I escaped, I got medical care on my own as a minor. And then I was accepted to a youth housing program called Booth Brown House. This was a miracle that saved my life. Overnight, I went from being the boy in the bubble to suddenly the whole world was at my fingertips. I could go anywhere in the Twin Cities. And it was beautiful, and it was like a sense of magic. My friends and I at Booth Brown House uplifted each other. Even if we were the crabs in our bucket, it was our fucking bucket, and we were going to go 2 by 2 and build our ladder, and we were going to get each other out. We were the odd ones, the people who fell through the cracks from our absurd, destructive childhood, and together we found community. In the last 15 years, a lot of things have changed. I had a vision of something beautiful that we call empowerment. I worked in youth crisis intervention, volunteered in a variety of community groups, and met a ton of different kinds of people. Everyone has their sense of normal in their real life, and their little part of the world, daily experiences that build their worldview. In 2019, I got a job in the youth network that was the same one that saved my life 7 years before that. I also got a job in an adult housing program that served people who have been chronically homeless, had severe persistent mental illness, or very serious addiction. I've seen what it's like to be addicted to heroin and meth at the same time. In both places I worked, I discovered something indescribable that was dark. Corruption, incompetence, abuse of the most vulnerable, and deception is what I saw. I showed up with a strong understanding of human empowerment that I lived in real life. Literally self-determination theory, there's a name for it, as an economic and spiritual bedrock. And I was alone. Most people didn't even know the basics. They didn't understand what human beings need to thrive and overcome suffering and hardship. Not economically, not socially, not spiritually. My story might be different from what else those of you have shared on stage. But you can imagine how things could be connected. And on top of all of this, there was a dark shadow looming over us, growing larger. Multiple threads in society, separate movements that were now converging under a shared theme, uniting under a shared ideology called social justice. Because this ideology is often adopted by liberals and leftists, it became inseparable from increasingly partisan and divisive politics. I'm not that political. I'm glad that I listened to other people on this stage. And I want to be brave, that I don't have to be your enemy. Every time I tried to do good work, I was targeted, lashed out at, punished, and threatened. There was no way I could fix these programs or rebuild it alone. I became a whistleblower in 2020 2 different organizations that were the largest in the state, and a myriad of many others. We don't know how dark it is to be the only one, unless you have one. The last piece of the puzzle, such an odd, funny plot twist, is that I was a trans man until I was 28 years old. This was all I ever knew. I transitioned very young. I always perceived myself as a boy. I didn't really experience hostility for being trans. But I did experience hostility and prejudice because people saw me as the white man. When I was in youth work, I realized that now, as times change gradually, every single person of every different background was expected to fill a role based on their race, their gender, things that people perceive about them, whether it's true or not. And if they didn't toe the line, they would be attacked. Nobody was safe anymore. I detransitioned less than 3 years ago without a goddamn clue how to be a woman. I can't really summarize in one small story how in between I've been. And I'm just looking for my people. You have to get to know people individually. And when you get a cue, they've experienced something that scares you, that feels like a bad sign, a red flag, or polarizing, maybe you could be brave. They might not hate you. They might not be what you think they are. You might have way more in common than you think. After I was a whistleblower, I was left demoralized, traumatized. My weight dropped to 100 pounds. I was very poor. I had holes in my clothes and holes in my shoes, and I was just barely avoiding homelessness for 4 years. I worked in the field of youth empowerment and homeless prevention, and that field left me almost dead on the streets. A big reason I actually recovered and I now have a house, a future, a family, is because in April of 2024 I met my husband. I ain't never dated men before. I have no clue how to do that either. It's all new. I have no category, no definition. He was generous and he was brave. He didn't know what it meant that I was a detrans woman. He didn't know what surgeries I had or didn't have. We were strangers when we met. And he was brave, and we were kind, and we were generous, and we were people. And he's my hero. We need courage, we need truth. We need willingness to see the whole human being. So now I'm just going to play my new song. My music has many different interpretations. I'm interfaith, I explore many different things spiritually. I'm not a pile of mush with no opinions. I use discernment, and I encourage you to do the same, because I have faith in you. This song is called Move Away from That Dark Space. Move away from that dark space. Doesn't know your soul. Just wants to consume it whole. Fray at the edges, fraud in the fine lines of your broken house. Burned down by the wolves. Move away from the dark space. Doesn't know your soul. Just wants to consume it whole. Fraud in the fine lines, fray at the edges of your broken house. Burned down by the wolves. They coerce you to howl at the moon. Assimilate to death and destruction. It's a nihilist instruction while they gnaw on your bones. I wouldn't build a hell on this earth and call it a home. So take these waters of life and move to the light. So take these waters of life and move to the light. Find that which cannot be lost, stolen or broken. Siddhartha called the Buddha nature, while Jesus said, thy kingdom come, thy kingdom come. So remember who you once were. You know, we were made for a higher goal. God lies in the silence and the devil's in the noise. So I'll speak truth to music, give my soul a voice, and say, move away from that dark space and reclaim your soul. Find that quiet buried under the noise. You were always whole. I know you fought in the fine lines, but we were made for more. So take these waters of life, put out the fires of hell. Be the miracle you wish to see, and then you will know. Be the miracle